Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Today, this breakfast isn't just breakfast. It might be the first McDonald's breakfast you're having at McDonald's again. This lunch might be a weekly tradition you hadn't had in weeks. And this dinner might be the first one you bought for not just you in a while. Whatever this order is for you, McDonald's will be here to take it.
Get more of the chicken you love with a delicious McChicken sandwich for $1. And for an extra buck, add a refreshing Dr. Pepper. Dining rooms are starting to reopen in certain communities at participating McDonald's. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
A new year means it's time for a new home network that can keep up. With Cox Internet, you have the speed and coverage your family needs to stay connected. You'll enjoy Cox's fiber-based hybrid network with options for fast upload and download speeds. And if your household has lots of connected devices, Panoramic Wi-Fi may be the perfect fit thanks to its additional control features. Plus, with advanced security on Panoramic Wi-Fi, you'll know each connected device is securely protected 24/7. A whole world of connectivity is yours with Cox Internet. Learn more at Cox.com.
Run.
It must be Sunday night. I must be Alan Ray. This must be Sunday night with Alan Ray. If you're traversing about the internet and it's about 9:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and you happen to stumble on this show, get into the chat room, www.klrnradio.com. You should have already been here. You should have been here at 8 o'clock so you can catch the Lost Wanderer. Jeff, like usual, has a heck of a show all the time. You actually end up learning things. Oh my gosh, it's 2023. We're not supposed to learn things, are we? No. Anyways, so here I am. This is the show where I raise my cynical eye. I glare around this big blue ghetto rock that we're hurtling through space in. And I ask the eternal question.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, and Rex, it's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the only time that really matters. I'll tell you what's going on around here. Weather, tornadoes. All right. Thursday was a heck of a night here in the state of Michigan and in Ohio. We saw some things we haven't seen in quite some time. Now, in the Casa de Alan Ray, we didn't really get a whole lot. We got some rain. It was a nice little rain. The garden sure liked it. In the exciting metropolis of Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I work, we had some torrential downpours. I mean, it was kind of crazy, to tell you the truth. It made some streets kind of look like rivers, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, and what you don't see a couple times a year. But apparently, and now the National Weather Service is confirming this, 9 tornadoes touched down in Rice Township in Sandusky County, Detroit Beach in Monroe, Michigan, Point Place, which really took the brunt of quite a bit of it. They're still a mess. Oak Harbor, Peru Township here in Huron County. Now, they weren't like the tornadoes you see in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma tornadoes are like, F-7000s, they're 18 miles wide and they just blow everything all the heck. They're like atom bombs, nature's atom bombs. No, these are little EF2s, EF1s, some of them are EF0s, but they're enough to rip roofs off. They're enough to wreak havoc on power lines. It really was enough for some major disruptance. And I was talking to a couple of guys today from that area, and they've driven by some of the damage like you wouldn't believe it over there. I mean, it's just a mess. Trees down all over the place, still don't have power. And then there's guys working right now as we speak trying to get the power back on. But that wasn't it. You have Texas right now. And KLR and Radio's own Aggie Rican without power. Hopefully she gets hers back here pretty soon. We got a lot of friends in KLR and Radio that are in the Texas area, and they got some really bad tornadoes, bad storms. Where was that? I forget where the one place in Texas, they had like 4 people die. They found a 4th. 50 people injured. Okay, those are really bad. But even if you weren't in the path of a tornado, which is really unfortunate if you are, that's something we'll talk about. We've talked about before several times. So you got to take care. You got to be careful. And I've spoke ad nauseum on the things you can do to prepare now for inclement weather, tornadoes, things like that. If you don't have a scanner app on your phone to hear what's going on around you, you need one. You need a weather radio. You need communication devices. You need ways to listen and maybe even communicate with people around you. And remember, a lot of times, and I know that I've heard this firsthand from some of the people in the Point Place area and in the Monroe area, that a lot of the power was out. Well, also a lot of cell service was out. And when it came back on, it was very sketchy. And what you have to remember is phone calls take up a lot more bandwidth and a lot more energy than texting. Texts get through in tiny little packets. They travel, I don't know, I guess layman's terms, they travel between and around the voice calls. They don't take up a lot of bandwidth and they get through quicker. So if you can, if everything's sketchy, if things aren't going very well, text before you call. Now, here's the big one. All of these things I just mentioned run on batteries. Your phone runs on a giant battery. Radios, what have you, they all run on batteries. Power goes out. And I can preach, I can get on my soapbox about our feeble power grid. They're wanting everything to go to electricity. All the cars, they want all those to go electric. They want to take away gas stoves, all electric. What's one of the first things that goes out when we have a big storm? Power. What are these stupid people thinking? What are they thinking? If you have natural gas heat and just a little bit of electricity, you can heat your house. If the power is completely out, good luck trying to heat your house. If you've got electric heat, it doesn't work. And I'd like to get in the face of some of these idiots and ask them, okay, so what guarantees do we get when the power goes out that we're not going to freeze to death in the middle of winter? What guarantees can you give us? And I guarantee you, they're going to have blank stares. And my advice is to get a coal burner. Get a coal burner. Just get you a little coal burning stove and hook it up. You don't even have to run it. And the second the power goes out, just start burning coal, belching black smoke right into the air. Say, well, I got to stay warm somehow. You took all the natural gas away. It's pretty clean. These people don't think, and you're right, Mike, they're not thinking. That's the problem. They've been sold a narrative. And yeah, I have conspiracy theories about it. I don't think they're really conspiratorial. I think they're actual facts. Is the reason they want everything to go to electricity is because it's really, 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 really easy to control power that way. They can tell you when you can drive, when you can't drive. They can tell you that, oops, we made a mistake and we can't produce a lot of cars, so none of you are going to get cars. Ha ha ha, hee hee hee. I can go there, I'm not going to. Right now, I just want to get people through some rough times. Now, there's not a lot you can do about it right now. Save batteries, what have you. But I've gone through this a couple of times. Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-solar. I'm using solar I'm pro using solar for what it was meant for. And that is small spot locations where it can be effective in keeping you from losing total power. Solar hooked up to battery banks can keep you communicating. Now, small devices. And I encourage you, what I'm about to tell you, I encourage you to do this. It's really easy to set yourself up, and not really all that expensive these days, to set yourself up with a small solar charging station. And what I mean is, and Jeff, I think I still have that in there. I was looking at that tonight, and yes, I'm going to, about Artemis 2. No, not Artemis 2. What did I do with that? There we go. Scientists beam solar power to the Earth. Yes, I've got that on the menu tonight, Jeff. He just reminded me about that, and I do have that, and I was looking at this before the show. But what I'm talking about is getting yourself in a situation where you can stay in communication with the people around you. Let them know you're safe. Let them know what you need. And you still need power for your phone. It's as easy, and I know I harp on Harbor Freight all the time. You can go down to Harbor Freight for $50 right now. You can get a 9-watt foldable solar panel. For $85, you can get a Thunderbolt 18-watt solar panel. You can go on Amazon, the good old Amazon.com. You can get a 21-watt foldable solar power charger, 3 fast charging USB-A, USB-C ports, IP66 waterproof, portable solar panel that folds up. You can put it in your man bag, your European man bag. You can put it in your go bag. You can put it in your vehicle. You can put it somewhere in your house. $69. And I use these all the time. I've used them back and forth to try to see if they actually work. I have a solar bank. It's a small solar bank that I've got at Harbor Freight. You can get those little bitty battery minders. I got 3 of them, 3 solar little solar. They're like 4 watts a piece. So 12 watts. I strung them from a tree, hooked them together into what they got, a little combiner you can get at Harbor Freight. Doesn't cost much. None of this stuff costs that much. And I ran a ham radio, a little dual band, actually it's a tri-band ham radio, making communications all over the southeastern part of Michigan and northern part of Ohio, all over, running strictly on a small, very tiny, that you can hold in the palm of your hand, lithium-ion battery and 3 solar panels. I charged my phone on the same thing while they were sitting there doing their thing. If you watch Harbor Freight, you can get you one of them giant 100-watt solar panels for $100. Yeah, you have to buy some other accessories, but what I'm saying is, when you get your power back on and you get everything under control, go get you a way to charge your phones, charge your radios, and God bless you, you should already have. I mean, I harp on this stuff all the time. I repeat myself all the time, but I say this because I want people to know what to do. you can go on Amazon, go on any one of these shopping places, and you can get a radio, hand crank, battery charge, little solar panel on it. They've always got a USB port on them so you can charge your cell phone. They don't charge them fast, but they will give you some power. AM, FM, weather channel, shortwave, and I encourage you, bang this into your head. Get the shortwave. Do it. You won't regret it. And those are a little bit more expensive. Let me see what those are running now. Yes, we're Amazoning while we speak. Deal with it. Cato, yes. Enrique is in the house. Enrique wants to let you know Enrique the cat is in the house. He thinks I should get up, stop the show right now, and go give him his snack. You can hear him in the background. Cato Voyager Pro, $89, $90. And that thing will get you everything you need. Chargers, it runs on hand crank, it runs on batteries, pretty much anything you need. And it will charge your phone. It will charge your communication devices. And you can listen to what's going on around you. And the reason I keep telling people, get shortwave. Because your FM stations are only good for a few miles. They really are. You might get a nearby city with an FM station. If there's a massive power outage, you might not get FM stations. AM stations are pretty good. They will go farther. At night, when the ionosphere is way up high, you can get AM stations across the nation pretty much. Shortwave, especially at night, you're going to get other parts of the world, and you're going to be hearing what is actually going on in your nation if you have some kind of catastrophic event. That's right. Instead of a train, you have cat. Enrique the cat. I must have left the door in the studio open because he's just like traipsing around, stomping around. He's a stompy foot cat. That's fine. I don't care. But all I'm saying is, be prepared, folks. Be prepared. I didn't mean to get off on this tangent. I really didn't. But I just want to get it fresh in your mind. Get those things now. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about... we were all into the ham radio, the little Baofeng radios. We were having fun with that. We were talking about how to get them, programmed, loading chirp software, all that. And it was one of the most listened to episodes I've had. Apparently, that struck a nerve. Kind of cool. Maybe I'll do another episode later on. And some people, I got some good feedback on it. People are going, hey, I'm going for my technician's license. And then there's Orty, who lives absolutely in the middle of freaking nowhere. I looked up his zip code and I went, my God, man, are there any people around you? When's the last time you've seen a person, Orty? Tell me in chat. Holy crap. There's like no repeaters around him. I guess they used to have an amateur radio club. It looks like that's been dissolved because everybody probably died. But there's still hope. Yeah, one of these days we'll talk about all-star nodes. We'll talk about digital radio. You can still get out there. You can still communicate, and you can do all this stuff, believe it or not, off-grid, especially the digital stuff, because it runs on very small voltage. You can put a Pi Zero up in your window with, in fact, I've got my little DMR repeater there. And yeah, it's hooked to the internet. If you have a hotspot, you're good to go. You can do this with that too. And it's running on a Pi Zero, and it's about 1.25 inches by maybe 2.5 inches long. And I literally put two-sided tape on it, and I just stuck it to my wall. It's kind of cool. Was it that long ago? It couldn't have been that long ago. Holy cow. Anyways, so that's it. I'm ranting and raving. I want you to be safe. I want you to be able to communicate. So take that away. Get you an AM/FM shortwave, one of those survival radios. Get a good brand name. Cato is a great name. Kito. A Cato Voyager Pro is absolutely outstanding. I've got a Cato Voyager Pro. I chose, instead of the digital tuning, I chose analog tuning. Mine was $50. You can get these things for $50 now. A nice, pretty red one. The reason I chose analog tuning is because if you've got any kind of a coronal mass ejection or something like that, the analog tuning has better chance of surviving any kind of a power surge. You won't lose your digital frequency. Now, here's another thing that I ran across. Already says hell is people. Exactly. I ordered a very complex and very accurate RF detector. You know, the radio frequency is all around you. There's a lot of things that emit radio frequency. And when you're in a ham radio, when you're thinking, and even regular radio, your regular stereo, you ever turn a stereo on and it's just nothing but static? You can't figure out why. Your television, something like that. Well, here's the secret. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This complex tool that you can get to detect RF frequencies is a $10 transistor radio. You can get them on Amazon, $10. Yeah, they're Chinese made now, but they're still kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have a transistor radio. I forgot just how good transistor radios sound. Old-fashioned transistor radios. What you do is you tune them on AM, and you get between stations where it's just white noise, and you can walk around your house, and the louder it gets, the closer you're getting to something that emits RF frequencies. Just in this room where I'm talking right now, the computer monitor that's sitting in front of me is horrid with RF frequencies. I have an electrical outlet off to my left. That thing, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might just, it's bad enough where I'm thinking of cutting the wire. I'm thinking of just going over there and disconnecting it. It's really bad. All for a $10 transistor radio. Just throwing that out there. But that transistor radio is another thing that might help you in the long run when it comes to an emergency. They don't take much battery power. You can throw a couple batteries in there. They'll last hours and hours and hours on end. Just throwing that. I want you to be safe. I want you to be able to communicate in a grid down. Okay. Now that we've smoked 20 minutes of the show, that's fine. Let's talk a few things. Michigan's a weird state. If you remember right, I did just a whole, year and a half? Circumspice, the right side of Michigan. I talked about nothing but things going on in Michigan. And the fishing report. Gotta miss the fishing report. One of these days I'm going to break the fishing report out. I'm just going to throw it at you just by surprise. Just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, we get this. Multiple witnesses in Bad Axe, Michigan, according to MSN. MSN, Microsoft Network. Why would MSN lie to you, except for politics? Multiple witnesses in Bad Axe, Michigan reported seeing a UFO engaged in a dogfight with a pair of F-16 fighter jets last week. The witnesses claimed that the jets circled the unidentified object several times, shooting anti-missile flares upon interception. The UFO is described as a white metallic disc that was visible only with difficulty due to its reflection in the sun. The unidentified aerial phenomena, or as old people like me call it UFO, was extremely fast. It was capable of overtaking and outmaneuvering the fighter jet with extreme ease, witnesses claim in the report. It would overtake a jet, stop suddenly, and seem to turn towards the incoming jet like spin in their direction without moving. The jet would shoot out anti-missile flares like it was under direct attack. Witness Christopher Bilbrey, a military veteran who served at the 304th Expeditionary Signal Battalion in South Korea, identified the fighter jets as F-16s after reviewing photos of different types of aircrafts. He said that the fighter jets returned to the same spot 4 days after the initial sighting and fired flares again. Now, that's kind of odd. That's kind of weird. Following their sightings, the witnesses reported what they had seen to the National UFO Reporting Center, or what they call a NUFORC, I guess. The organization later spoke with Bilbrey to gain more insight into the incident. Now, the Huron County Sheriff's Office confirmed that it received no reports of the incident, which is strange, too. If the fighter jets were indeed F-16s, they would have been scrambled from the 180 Fighter Wing in Toledo, Ohio, which doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. When you have Salford Air National Guard Base, the United States Air National Guard, not more than, 80 miles across the, as the crow flies, into Bad Axe. And Salford Air National Guard has some pretty hefty fighter jets. Yeah, you know what? This is Sunday Night with Alan Ray, guys. I'm going to step on everybody. Lost Wanderer, Juxtaposition, you name it. And yes, were they actually really UFOs? Well, if you've never heard my UFO criticism, and a lot of people don't agree with it. It's probability versus possibility. Is it possible that UFOs? Anything's possible. I'm not going to rule anything out. Is it probable that UFOs? Okay, let's move the probable meter just a little bit when it comes to aliens. My God, people, have you seen our governor? Don't you remember V? The 80s movie? I mean, if you grabbed Gretchen Whitmer and like tore her face off, would there be a lizard underneath? I think that probability has moved the meter just a little bit for me, okay? Keep going like this, maybe I'll believe that there's aliens flying around. I don't know. So there you have it. Weird things over Michigan. I still don't know why they wouldn't call Selfridge Air National Guard or the U.S. Air. It's literally right there in right outside of Detroit. And if you don't know where Bad Axe is exactly 100 miles north of Detroit, right up in the thumb area. Governor Bukaki. Yeah, I'm going to start calling her Diana from now on. Because, I mean, she kind of acts like that creepy chick from V. And I guess you got to be a child of the 70s and 80s to know what I'm talking about. That was a really creepy show. And they tried to bring it back. They did another miniseries on it. And it was all right. It wasn't bad. But it came nowhere near the actual original V. Especially when the one girl gets pregnant with an alien baby and she's like eating raw meat out of the refrigerator. That was really crazy. Yes. And Jeff, God, I miss that. Circumspiced fishing report. There's a whole meme. Oh, one of these days. So there you have it. There you have it. And speaking of solar, yep, I'm going to get to this, Jeff. Scientists beam solar power to Earth from space for the first time ever. This is kind of a big deal. Oh, there she is. Yes. Even though she was a lizard woman, Diana was hot, 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 hot. Yes, she was. And just between you and me, I think there's a lot more women that have lizards under their skin than what you would think there would be. Just going to throw that out there, not pointing fingers. Anyways, back to this. Space.com says a space solar-powered prototype has demonstrated its ability to wirelessly beam power through space and direct a detectable amount of energy towards Earth for the first time. The experiment proves the viability of tapping into a near limitless supply of power in the form of energy from the sun from space. Because solar energy in space isn't subject to factors like day and night, obscuration by clouds, or weather on Earth, it is always available. In fact, it is estimated that space-based harvesters could potentially yield 8 times more power than solar panels at any location on the surface of the globe. The wireless power transfer was achieved by microwave array for power transfer low orbit experiment. Whoa, that's hard to say. Microwave array for power transfer low orbit experiment, otherwise known as MAPLE. We'll call it that from now on. An array of flexible and lightweight microwave power transmitters, which is one of the 3 instruments carried by the Space Solar Power Demonstrator, SSPD-1, which was launched in January of 23 as part of the California Institute of Technology's Space Solar Power Project. Jeff, you should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, but Jeff shared this with me. Kudos to Jeff sharing this with me. And you've heard me say that solar panels, large solar panel farms, are as damaging and destroying to the earth as fossil fuels. And I know fossil fuels, they're horrible. Not really. Not really. I think we're being lied to. Well, I think people are being lied to. Anybody that's got any kind of brain has already researched this and know fossil fuels are not actually destroying the earth. But if you say that, it's heresy. If you want to have a future of solar energy, what I just commented on, beaming solar from space to Earth, maybe having a salt-type reactor on Earth being heated by solar energy from space, that is the way. You're not tearing down fields. You're not tearing down forests. You're not tearing down, using up all this space to build your non-recyclable, stupid, ancient technology solar. Yes, I agree, Enrique. It's just retarded. Enrique says it's stupid too. Yes, it is. So there you have it. we are at the bottom of the hour. I'm going to go get this cat something before he dies of starvation, which he's not dying of starvation. He just ate like hour ago. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Maine lobster men. Maine lobster. If you've never been to Maine, you need to go to Maine. And if you've never sat in Bar Harbor at Galen's and had a 1.5 pound lobster, you haven't lived, have you? But there's problems. There's always been problems, but now there's more problems, of course, with the Biden administration. Don't go anywhere. It's Sunday Night with Alan Ray. We'll be back in just a moment.
At the tender age of 3, I was hooked to a machine just to keep my mouth from spouting junk. Ha! They must have took me for a fool, 'cause they chucked me out of school, 'cause the teacher knew I had the fun.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Oh, yeah. You got to be a child of the 80s to appreciate this, I guess. Science! Thomas Dolby. Hyperactive, bringing us back in. It is Alan Ray. It is Sunday Night with Alan Ray. Welcome. You know, my wife and I, before we had kids and no money, we used to go to Bar Harbor, Maine when we first got married. We'd go out to Mount Desert Island, hang out in Bar Harbor. Got to know a lot of people. We did it more than once. We did it a few times. Got to know people on the island. Got to know some lobster fishermen. Got to appreciate sitting at Galen's, looking out over the ocean with a 1.5 pound lobster with all the trimmings, a pint of Bar Harbor Real Ale. God, those were the days. I'm afraid to go back. I'm afraid to go back because I'm afraid it's not like it was. I know the inn at Canoe Point where we used to stay is now a private residence. That in and of itself sucks. I know they charge you to get on Cadillac Mountain now. And if you're on Cadillac Mountain, most people don't know this. If you're on top of Cadillac Mountain when the sun comes up, you are the first person in the United States of America to see the sunrise. That is the highest point on the East Coast, farthest out. That's just a fact. Didn't know that. But one thing you learn when you get out to Bar Harbor or the coast, Maine coast, you get to talking to lobster fishermen, if you're me. See, I like to know what people are doing out there. I don't care about the tourist traps. Yeah, they're fun for a day or two, but I'm always interested in what the people who live there, what they do. And when you're out there, you start talking to these lobster fishermen. There's little coffee shops dotted around the coast there where these people, they come in the morning, they get there, and some of them have, like, the lobster fishermen have their own coffee mugs on hooks in the place. They just walk in, grab their coffee mug, grab coffee, go sit down. And then they get their breakfast, and they're all talking back and forth how the catch was and everything. You get talking to them, and you start understanding how heavily regulated lobster fishing is. Very heavy regulated. Of course, they don't want lobsters to become extinct. I understand that. But there's very distinct laws. What you can keep, what you must throw back, what you can and cannot do. I mean, it is heavily regulated. Well, and thanks to Rex. Thanks to Rex in chat. Rex had this up. I was reading that and I said, dude, I'm totally taking this for the show tonight because I feel a connection. When I spent time out there, I got to know these people. I got to love these people. I got to love their dryness and their, a lot of people take them for, well, they're grouchy. No, it's just, they're just tough people. They're weathered, tough people, and I love them. They're real Americans. And gosh darn it, Biden cannot keep his stupid nose from just meddling. And I know it's the government's job to meddle. It's the United States federal government's job to meddle. Meddle in everything. Meddle in your personal life. Meddle in your dog's life. Meddle in foreign countries and get them all stirred up and fighting each other. Meddling everywhere with everything all the time. I don't know when they decided that this was their lot in life, but somewhere along the lines, this United States federal government decided that their whole purpose for existing was to meddle. You're exactly right. Blue crab fishermen, exactly, Mike. They're that way too. But according to redstate.com, I'm going to get into this. It says there are a lot of people who have been suffering under the Biden regime. And who did this? Nick Arama wrote this. From being crushed by Bidenflation to being oppressed by his overregulation. The lobstermen of Maine know all too well about that second part, overregulation. The Biden administration's National Marine Fisheries Service imposed a rule that could gut what is already a challenging industry. The lobstermen challenged Biden in court. Last year, the Maine Lobstermen Association, MLA, sued the Biden administration's National Marine Fisheries Services for its new rule that the government said was aimed at protecting an endangered North Atlantic right whale. but that lobstermen claim threatened to put family-owned lobster fisheries out of business, which a lot of lobster fisheries are owned by families. That rule imposed operating limits on lobster fisheries and set new technical standards on how much lobster trap rope could be in the water, which would cut in half the number of traps that could be deployed. NMFS defended its rule in court by saying that the Endangered Species Act demands that the agency make rules based on assumptions of worst-case scenarios and give the benefit of the doubt to the endangered species. Now, let me reread this. This explains a lot about the government meddling and everything. The NMFS defended its rule in court by saying that the Endangered Species Act demands that the agency make rules based on assumptions of worst-case scenarios. What other government entities makes assumptions based only on worst-case scenarios? CDC, NIH, I don't know, FDA, what else we got out there? FCC, all the bureaucracies, every bureaucracy everywhere makes rules based on worst-case scenarios that we all have to suffer for because, worst-case scenario, the earth might blow up into flames. So the Biden team cares about the endangered whale, okay. Well, they just don't care about the endangered lobstermen or their families' ability to eat. But the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit wasn't having any of this, giving the lobstermen a big win against the Biden team. Judge Douglas Ginsburg lit up the NMFS with his opinion. And let me read this verbatim. This is his quote. It's lengthy, but I'm going to read it to you because it's important. The service's legal reasoning was not just wrong, it was egregiously wrong. The service's argument rested entirely upon a half sentence in the legislative history. This approach is a relic from bygone era of statutory construction. Under the service's approach, legislative history may supply duties that, as the service now concedes, are not found in the enacted law. As the Supreme Court recently said, we cannot approve such a casual disregard of the rules of statutory interpretation. The reason is obvious. As any high school civic student should know, legislators vote on and the president signs bills, not their legislative history, he continued. Judge Ginsburg also seemed to call out the agency for historical hypocrisy in its rulemaking. Only a few years ago, the service, revisiting its interpretive rules, agreed with commenters that nothing in the ESA required it to use a worst-case scenario or make unduly conservative modeling assumptions, and rejected comments arguing it should give the benefit of the doubt to a species by evaluating effects or activities that were possible even if not likely, he said. That's highly important. And that needs to be thrown at every single one of your bureaucracies. And yes, thank you, Rex, for posting that tweet in chat. That's exactly what I'm going off of. And you're right. Climate maniacs and morons work on building stupid wind farms off the East Coast. They don't care about right whales. They're killing whales. There's proof that all this crap, the wind farms and stuff like that they're putting in the water, is killing whales. You don't see that coming up. So how skewed is all this? According to the MLA, right whales don't even inhabit the Maine coast. The last reported entanglement with a whale with a Maine lobsterman was in 2004, people. Almost 20 years ago. There's no documented serious injury or death to a whale since then in that area. So what's the point here besides putting the fishermen out of business? Well, I tell you what, that is the point. It's all connected. Go back. What do they keep telling you? They don't want you to eat meat. Any meat. Fish, beef, chicken, whatever. They want you to eat bugs and vegetables. They want you to go out there and eat grass like cows. That's what they want you to do. Because that's all you are to them, is your cash cows, your revenue cows. And as long as they can keep you barely alive and going to work to pay their exuberant taxes, they're okay with it. They don't care how bad you look. They don't care what your health is, as long as they don't have to pay for it. So there you have it. Who was this? Democrat Representative Jared Golden called out Biden administration on this in the past. That's how bad it was for these fishermen. When the Democrats calling their own golden son out, that's bad. He busted Biden for hypocrisy of having a big lobster feast for the French state dinner when he was hurting the industry. He's killing the lobster industry, and he himself is eating lobster. Huh. Isn't that how this always goes? That's how it always goes. You see, I can't pound it through people's heads enough to let them know. These rules, these laws they want to make, when they tell you we're going to ban eating meat, that's not for them. That's not for them. They will still be eating meat. They will still be eating beef and pulled pork and lobster and chicken and whatever else they feel like eating. No. These rules are meant for you. Just like that girl that's the climate advisor for the Biden administration. She's telling people that they have to live in grass huts, basically, eat grass, eat bugs, live like poor paupers that you are. And she's flying to Rome. She's flying to California. Her carbon footprint's huge. Twitchy just did a big article on it, exposing the hypocrisy of these authoritarians. And this is just another chapter in that book. They knew darn well they weren't doing anything to protect the right whales. What they were doing is trying to cut lobster consumption in more than half. Oh, well, these lobster fishermen can just learn to code. I'm sure that was the reasoning. And even in the middle of this, there's a tweet by Antonio Sabato Jr. 2 more whales washed up dead along the East Coast in the last week. Representative Chris Smith is calling for an investigation into the impact and viability of proposed wind farms. See, they don't care that they are actually the reason that this is going on. They want to blame somebody. Let's get into a few more things. Now, I know it's out there. I want to clear the record up. There's a lot of news going on that the feds are quietly dropping 5 charges against Sam Bankman fraud and the multi-billion-dollar FTX scam. What is going on, actually, is there's 8 counts against Sam Bankman fraud. His real name is Sam Bankman Fried or Freed, whatever. I call him Sam Bankman Fraud. Owner of FTX, the guy that screwed everybody out of digital currency, the guy that built investors for billions of dollars, the guy who basically single-handedly funded the Democrat Party. Oh, and don't get me wrong, he contributed to Republicans too. That's why he's not going to go up. If he goes to jail for a day, I'll be shocked. I'll be surprised. What really happened is there were originally 5 counts against him. And then 3 were added. 3 were added. Maybe my math is wrong. Maybe there's 3 accounts against him and 5 were added. Anyways, nonetheless, federal prosecutors have rolled back the 5 that they added onto it. He still is probably going to get tried on those. Folks, and I'm trying not to be a conspiracy theorist here. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm a cynic, okay? I'm a cynic. It's different from a conspiracy theorist because we look at things and we just say, I wouldn't be surprised if. And I'm going to tell you right now, if this guy makes it to trial without being Epsteined, without being found in his cell in the Bahamas, hanged, without accidentally just disappearing, find him at the bottom of the ocean with a brick tied around his neck, if he actually makes it to trial, color me shocked. Color me shocked. I don't think he'll make it to trial. There are way too many politicians tied in with this guy for him to actually make it to trial. And whether he just gets let go, whether he just gets ignored into oblivion and everybody just 10 years from now goes, hey, whatever happened to that Sam Bankman Fried guy? Whatever happened to him? Well, I don't know. Never heard anything about him. Oh, no, you never heard anything about him. Of course you didn't. He just disappeared because he's connected to too many of the authoritarians we have in Washington, D.C. And it's not a swamp. A swamp is a living ecosystem. A swamp is a good thing. A swamp serves a purpose. No. Washington, D.C. is raw sewage. Stinking, festering, fly-inducing raw sewage. Yep, he's going to be Clinton's raptor. That's exactly right. Continuing on. African officials unleashed on Bill Gates and George Soros last week. This actually happened back in April, and I found this. I ran across this. You didn't hear this in the news. You didn't hear this anywhere. This happened back in April, and the news just covered it up. I was digging around on something, and westernjournal.com, I saw something that was funny. Absolutely great. A Nigerian scientist lashed out at projects backed by the likes of Bill Gates and George Soros, which are using Africa to test unproven pet theories. Gates has supported technology in which particles would be spread in the atmosphere to block sunlight from reaching the surface of the planet, as noted by Forbes. In February, Soros lent his support to a project using solar geoengineering to reflect more sunlight back into space, according to Fortune. Now, where are they going to do this? Over the United States? Over Russia? Over China? No. Over Africa. Over Africa. Can I even say this dude's name? Chukwuemeka Okereke, director of the Center for Climate Change and Development at Alex Ukwemi Federal University in Nigeria, said these concepts should not be tried out using Africa as a giant petri dish. As a climate expert, I considered these environmental manipulation techniques extremely risky. And as an African climate expert, I strongly object to the idea that Africa should be turned into a testing ground for their use. He wrote in an op-ed in the New York Times titled, "My continent is not your giant climate laboratory." Okereke was pushing back against a report from the Carnegie Climate Governance Initiative, favoring what it called solar radiation modification that said logic needed to prevail, and warned that SRM, as well as other climate policy options, might encounter non-rational public responses that could strongly influence decision-making. So basically what it said, let me reread that. The solar radiation modification, as well as other climate policy options, might encounter non-rational public responses that could strongly influence decision-making. How is pointing out the fact that throwing a bunch of metallic flakes into our atmosphere, which we have no idea if it's going to upset ecosystems, we have no idea what it's going to do. How is doing that rational? How is questioning that irrational? How is this Okereke guy, how is he being irrational by saying, dude, don't be doing this over my country. Do it over your own acreage of farms, wherever they are, Bill Gates. You want real systemic white supremacy? You want real white supremacy? Start with George Soros, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab. Start with the trinity of evil. That's your systemic racism right there. Where did they pick? Oh, well, they picked Africa because it's impossible for Africa to unite as one continent and fight back. Of course they're going to pick Africa because, black people, they're expendable, right? Okereke called solar radiation management highly speculative, which means it's untested, kind of like the vaccine for COVID. How about that? Are we seeing a trend here? Without using the whole Earth as a laboratory, it's impossible to know whether it would dim anything, let alone how it could affect ecosystems, people, and the global climate. I don't know about you. I don't want to be breathing metallic flakes. Other proposed techniques include covering deserts with plastic, genetically engineering plants to have brighter, more reflective leaves, creating or making clouds whiter, and deploying millions of mirrors in space. This is supposed to be rational science. This is what Bill Gates and George Soros want you to believe as rational. This is what they want to call settled science. Are you awake yet? Are you seeing any of this? Covering deserts with plastic? Genetically engineering plants to have brighter, more reflective leaves? Making clouds wider so you just don't see the sun anymore? We have no idea what that's going to do to an ecosystem. It might destroy everything. Okay, here's an idea. I'm going to throw this out there. Call me a radical, but I believe it's scientific. If you really, really think that mankind is changing the weather, mankind is changing the climate, you then have to admit that the largest part of this change is driven by government. Oh, no, you didn't say that. Yes, I did. The United States federal government is the world's largest consumer of goods and services. That is a fact. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. You eliminate 80% of the federal government, you eliminate 80% of the purchasing of federal or of goods and services. Carbon footprint gets reduced. The United States federal government is the United States' largest source of pollution. What do I mean by that? You take all the military, you take all the government contractors and subcontractors, they are the source, the largest source of pollution in America. You don't hear that in reports. They leave the largest carbon footprint. These people all get in giant 747s and they fly over to Germany and they get into a big pile and they tell you should eat bugs and not drive cars. You're exactly right, Rex. He wouldn't want to serve in England during the Maunder minimum. It got cold. Folks, I remember just a few years ago. I remember when, when you're my age, you remember Leonard Nimoy coming on TV and going, we're in for another ice age. It's settled science. Scientists have proven that we're going to be under 2 miles of ice if you live in Michigan. Well, here I am. I'm in Michigan. It's 2023. Am I under 2 miles of ice? No, I'm not. Because they don't know for sure. We're being run by idiots. We're being run by idiots who believe in things like the World Economic Forum, who believe in things like Agenda 2030. I got so much more I wanted to talk about. I guess we're going to have to take this up on the next Sunday Night with Alan Ray. It's already the top of the hour again. My God, every week I go into this show and I ask myself, my God, am I going to have enough to talk about? Apparently, I know how to talk. I have some other things, and I'm going to have to share one of these with Jeff because I latched onto a article that I got behind the scenes where I work. And I'm going to share this with him because it goes along with a lot of things he talks about. I think he's going to be kind of intrigued by it, so hopefully he takes on to this. I wanted to get to New York is sinking. All the skyscrapers and all the crap, according to BBC, is causing New York to sink. Good riddance. But I'm not going to get to them. I'll get to them next week, I guess. If I get home on time, because I'm going to tell you what, guys, I should be home. I should be good to go. Next weekend, next Friday night, I'm going to see Buddy Guy live at the Myers Gardens in Grand Rapids. If he lives that long. If I live that long. Life is uncertain. Buddy Guy is a national treasure. I love his music. Next to B.B. King, to me, Buddy Guy is like one of the greatest blues players out there. And I know if you get his earlier albums, he was pretty coked up and he was pretty crazy. But God, the older he got, the better he got. He's got stuff out right now that he just released like 2 years ago. Probably some of his best material ever. And I'm going to be sitting right there cheering him on. My wife's going with me, and I don't think she knows what to expect. It's going to be a treat for her. I think it's going to be a heck of a treat for her. Thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you for joining me on Sunday Night with Alan Ray. I am so glad you did. Keep it locked on KLRNradio.com all week long for the best in podcast programming. We are America's podcast network. Something in this whole week is going to tickle your fancy. It's going to get you going. It's going to make you laugh, going to make you mad, going to make you whatever. So keep it locked here. Lord willing, I will be back next Sunday night. Same bat time, same bat place. Until then, hey, man, peace out. Be good to each other. We'll talk again soon.
Striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world. There's lightning striking all over the world.